Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. And we appreciate you guys coming on. And we'll say hello to a few friends before we get into Q&A here today. I'm on the road again. Okay, let's see. Who's number one as you get your... Andrea, Niagara Falls. Sue, how are you? And Lynn, can everybody, you're giving me the thumbs up. Hi, Jocelyn from Sturgeon. And Beverly from New Brunswick. Madeleine, Kippawa, Quebec. Nellie, how are you? And Nativity, good morning to you. Fran in Orangeville. Sherry from Mississauga. And Cheryl from Alabama. How are you? Nick from our staff. Wendy. London, Ontario. Laurie and Ryan. Sarasota, Florida. Kevin. Oshawa. Ann. Moncton, New Brunswick. Good morning. Appreciate you guys coming on. Hi, Nativity. And Deb, how are you? Who is that? Wendy, Marco, Marianne, Sylvie, Sault Ste. Marie, Patricia, good morning. You get Hearst, Ontario. And I'm going to say I couldn't see it. Rita gets up literally into the clouds. Milika. And Cindy, good morning. Bruno, how are you? Lise. Nice to have you on this morning. Linda, St. Jude, Quebec. Good morning. And another Linda from New Brunswick. How are you? Cheryl, how you doing? Denise, okay, couple of more. Voice is nice and loud. Good. Carol. And Kathy from Simcoe. And Kristen, Saskatchewan. Francis from Vaughan. And Patricia, guys, we appreciate you guys big time. Hi, Kim. And Marilyn. And Rose, how are you? From Peterborough. And we thank you. Who was that from Chatham? I missed it. Cindy. Sonia. Okay, guys, let's get going. Patty. Okay, here we go. Here is some of the questions. Let me get to them. Okay, the first one, Lise has been struggling with mucus. Now, I think there was 2 last week with mucus, okay? And chronic, and Lise is saying every single day for the last between 3 and 5 years, no fun. Now, if you get mucus in your throat, in the back of your throat, there's 2 reasons for it. 1, coming from sinuses, or 2, coming from a silent acid reflux, stomach problems, okay? So, let's talk about sinuses. What happens here? Chronic, usually fungal, usually a yeast. Your body tries to get rid of it, and you get a post-nasal drip. The fact that you're telling me that the discharge is yellowish, I would say fungal, okay? Coming from chronic problems in the sinuses, and you're getting a post-nasal drip, okay? The other way would be where you're getting a silent acid reflux. And now you're getting, coming up the esophagus, you're getting acid, and that can end up in your throat. And people have said to me, well, I don't have any digestive trouble that you know about, but you are having, usually because of low acidity, usually happens when you have a diet full of sugar and whatever. You get low acidity in the stomach, not acidic enough. It becomes more alkaline, and you don't want to be alkaline in your stomach. So these, it's one of those two things. Now, if it's post-nasal drip, probiotics, you got, I would even do my, people call it a cocaine-like sniffing, okay? Where you literally take a straw, open up, you don't need much powder of the probiotic, and sniff it. Put the straw and sniff it into the sinus. Let that probiotic get into the sinus. And people have found that over the years to be very effective with the chronic sinusitis or even a post-nasal drip. Now, the other thing, if it is the stomach leads, digestive enzymes. Our enzymes are made. They're made with a broad spectrum enzymes, lipase, amylase, protease. It really makes a difference with your digestion, with changing the acidity and replacing the mucus in your stomach so that your stomach works better and not getting the acid going up to the top. Okay, so thank you, Lise, for the question. Francis, what is ApoB? Well, that is a measurement of small particles for cholesterol, okay? And you have LDL cholesterol, and then they break it down even more into ApoB. What that means is they're small particles, and look, I've said this many a time. I know I'm going to have to say it again. I don't buy the whole thing about, it's not that I'm not interested in cholesterol. I'm very interested in cholesterol. But I want your cholesterol to be high, not low. I want your LDL to be high. I want your HDL to be high. And I want your triglycerides to be low, okay? That is the school of thought that I belong to, and I belonged to that school for a lot of years. Before people even questioned cholesterol at the root of heart disease, I was questioning cholesterol at the root of heart disease. Cholesterol is not the problem. Whether it's, and now they're getting into, I call it getting into the weeds. I have to give the pharmaceutical companies credit because they know how to market. They know how to keep people focused in on cholesterol, and therefore so people will get on statin drugs, cholesterol lowering medication. The whole premise, in my opinion, is wrong. The whole premise. And I try and prove that by the results. Okay, we've been on statin drugs, the number one selling medication of all time. We've been on statin drugs for a long time. What have they done to heart disease? What is the results? What is the bang for the buck? Not much. Well, as a matter of fact, there's been no dent. The only dent in heart disease in the last 50 years, the only dent in heart disease, and it's still the number one killer in North America, and the only dent is when people stop smoking. And by the way, that's the only dent in cancer, by the way, too. People stopped smoking. They got the memo. Heart disease got better for a bit. Cancer rates went down. So when you're asking me the question, Francis, I won't answer it because I'll only partially answer it. Because I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care what they are. To me, they have no effect on heart disease. Zero. Nada. Find out, Francis, what your triglycerides are. Find out what your HDL is. Okay? Get my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel. I talk about it. I talk about the results you want to see. And that you want to have higher HDL and lower triglycerides. You know, if you can get your triglycerides under 1, especially in a woman, I give you the thumbs up. Okay? So, sorry, Francis. I know I maybe frustrate people to some extent, but I will not. You want to send me all the research and studies on how cholesterol, look, it's been done. They've looked at all the studies of cholesterol and heart disease, and there's no correlation. Well, the only correlation is if you have low cholesterol. You don't want low cholesterol. You want low triglycerides. Okay? Francis, thank you for the question. We appreciate it. Okay? Benjamin is asking about rosacea. Okay? Let me have a little bit of my coffee. Okay? Benjamin is asking about rosacea. Rosacea, Bill Clinton had rosacea. Sometimes you do that. You hook up a disorder with a famous person. Okay? And that is a rash, characterized usually by a rash around the sinus area on the outside, can go on the forehead. Look, I've never seen a case of rosacea that isn't leaky gut. Leaky gut, leaky skin. And specifically on rosacea, some people will say it's parasites. Yesterday we talked about parasites. Okay? And a lot of people are saying parasites now are at the root of cancer. And maybe it's fungal, and I believe rosacea is more fungal than it is parasites. Okay? But at the end of the day, how do you fix parasites and how do you fix rosacea? Well, first of all, you got to fix the leaky gut. You have to fix the zipper, the liner between your gut and your blood, so that no garbage gets into your blood. And you do that with probiotic. You can do it with bone broth. Bone broth's very good because it's got L-glutamine, and that's very helpful. You can do, and then the probiotic will help. Even because we talked about this yesterday, L. reuteri and L. rhamnosus and whatever. You want those strains to go after the fungal. I believe it's fungal more than parasite. If it is parasites and mites, because you want to kill that stuff. I would put oil of oregano right on it. Take oil of oregano internally, because it helps to kill. It's antifungal. It's antiparasitic. Do you know that oil of oregano is antifungal and antiparasitic and antibiotic, nature's antibiotic, and antiviral. It's God's gift to us, oil of oregano. So combination of oil of oregano, probiotic, guys, makes a big difference, okay? Now, that was Benjamin. Thank you. Bev's been diagnosed with atherosclerosis of the carotid artery, and she exercises, leg strengthening. According to Dr. Google, I'm putting myself in danger of a stroke due to the pressure these exercises create on the carotid. Do you know what, Bev? Just the opposite. If you start having atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, okay? How did you get that originally? Okay, we could go into the number one cause of atherosclerosis, plaque, is damage. It's inflammation. Now, inflammation's not Houdini. One of the biggest causes of inflammation in the body inflammation is on your side if you have an infection. But inflammation becomes damaging to blood vessels and can lead to atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, by damaging the epithelial lining, the Teflon lining of your arteries, including your carotid. So you want to avoid that. And the best way is to cut out the sugar, because sugar creates inflammation. Inflammation destroys, after a period of time, starts to damage the lining of the arteries. What happens? You start to have problems and plaque developing. Okay? Now, the other one, calcification of the arteries can be caused by low levels of vitamin K2. And vitamin K2 is found in eggs, meat, and cheese. Vitamin K2 comes in nature, in the animal kingdom. And it's very good to get rid of plaque. And don't go to Dr. Google when it comes to exercise. One of the best things you can do for your carotid arteries to help. You got to keep your blood flowing. You don't want your blood and plaque to be building up more and more. Exercise, one of the best things you can do. And when you're doing legs and all that, you're helping yourself big time. Okay? So, Bev, just the opposite of what you read. John, can I discuss polyps? Sure can, John. And polyps, they're usually growths that are encapsulated. So when people think of polyps, I don't know about you, but me, whenever I hear the word polyp, you're usually thinking like somebody got a colonoscopy and they found polyps in the bowel. Or someone had some kind of scope, or they found a polyp in around the ovaries or something. Polyps are encapsulated. And many a time, a lot of doctors, and I don't necessarily agree with this, will say that a polyp is precancerous. They often say that. So if you get a colonoscopy, for example, they'll snip off the polyp and maybe do a biopsy of it. But, you know, your body is fearfully and wonderfully made, guys, okay? Because it knows how to even encapsulate a tumor. And I don't see polyps necessarily as precancer, but even if they are, the body knows what to do with that, okay? Now, the other thing. Remember, John, two things generally make things grow. What makes a polyp grow? 2, hormones. Okay? What makes a polyp grow? Insulin is a growth hormone. How do you cut insulin down? Cut your crappy carbs down. Very simple. Cut the crappy carbs and the sugars down. Okay? That's 1. 2, cut estrogen down. Estrogen is a growth hormone. It's involved in almost every cancer. Estrogen. Even men cancer. Estrogen. Not enough testosterone, too much estrogen for women, for men. And women, even though they hit menopause and perimenopause and they go, oh, my estrogen's coming down. Yes, maybe it's coming down in your blood, but you're surrounded. Our environment is surrounded by what we call xenoestrogens. And those things are very damaging. And growth, they promote growth of polyps, cancer cells. Cancer cells are looking for hormones to make them grow. Insulin is one, estrogen is the other. Okay? Thank you for the question. And that was John. Paul, why do my people here think, what do my people here think? Oh, you're talking about us. My people think causes dark rings around the eyes. Generally. Okay? Couple of things. Okay? When I was, Paul, when someone came into my office, did you ever come into my office? Okay? I don't know. Did you? But if anyone came to see me as a patient, some people noticed this and some people didn't. Dr. Martin, you're in my space. What? Well, why are you looking at me so closely? You're in my space. I actually had a few people tell me that. I said, you see this office here? That's my space. You come in, I'm looking. Why? I'm observing. I'm looking at your skin. I'm looking at your eyes. Okay? I'm looking, whatever is visible, I look. I looked at your hair. I'm looking at your eyebrows. I want you to stick your tongue out at me. Yeah, I used to say that. Stick your tongue out at me. I used to look at your tongue. So, Paul, when I noticed dark circles under the eyes, usually wasn't always the case, and I could tell within a couple of minutes because I did the testing. They were low. They were anemic a lot of times. They didn't know it. You see, there's a couple of forms of anemia. Iron deficiency, okay? And they go, oh, yeah, and maybe it was that. A lot of times it was that iron deficiency, but a lot of times it was B12 deficiency anemia. And they had no idea. No one told them. No one talked to them. And they had low levels of anemia, low levels of B12, or low levels of iron. Other times, I used to see it a lot with people with allergies, okay? And they had a lot of allergies, and a lot of histamine was being produced. And those people, you know what? I could see it in their eyes, or below their eyes. Low levels of B12, low levels of, and sometimes I could see dark circles under a person. I was interested in their liver. Their liver was all gummed up. That could be another reason. And like I said, I usually tested all that, so I knew about it. Okay? I knew about it. So, anywho, okay? So generally, now listen, guys, what I'm going to do, okay, because I'm on the road, I'm going to finish this up on Monday, okay? My grandsons are with me. And I can see they're saying, Grandpa, let's get going, okay? And if I'd have known grandchildren that much fun, I would have had them first. And here's what I tell them. What happens with Grandpa stays with Grandpa. Nobody else finds out about it, okay? So we'll be back on Monday. I know it's a holiday Monday in Canada, okay? But we're on the air. We will be on the air on Monday, okay? Regular time. Guys, thanks for watching. We love you dearly and sincerely. Talk to you soon.